Welcome into the Tri-Oval Office Atlanta Post-Race Review Edition. How are you doing tonight, Grant?
I am a lot warmer than I was yesterday. I will tell you that right now. I'm also about tired of driving after driving all the way down to the racetrack and back, and then clearly in a different setup tonight in a nondescript hotel somewhere in Tennessee. But man, what a race that was! I know we were both there. It was it was so cold, but it was so
It,
much fun.
it was not that cold until suddenly it was cold. It was not a gradual decline. It was as soon as the sun went down and the sun, like, sky's orange is beautiful, and it
Hmm.
feels like it's about 15 degrees because the wind is gusting like 30 miles an hour the entire time.
Oh
And
man.
oh my goodness, I have some videos I took last night during the sunset, and I could not feel my hands. It
Oh,
was
it
so.
was. I was having to voice text in our group chat because I was having to like point and poke with one finger, but um, I don't think it was. So when we got to our seats right before the start of the race, it was noticeably warmer than the few hours that we had spent on pit road before.
Yes.
Um, you want to talk about the strongest wind? I'm shocked it didn't play a factor in this race more than it probably. I thought it would be a huge factor. I'm 6 foot, 190 pounds. I've never been blown over or knocked off balance by wind. I was probably six times to the point where I'd almost like the fence down there where the drivers come by, like when they're doing the introductions. It knocked me into the fence. Not just me, everyone for 30 yards. Gust of wind, we almost take the fence down. I mean, it was shocking. It had to have been blowing 45, 50. It was ridiculous.
Well, it was a tailwind on the back stretch, so it was blowing
Yeah.
from turn one, turn two to turn three and turn four.
I'm
And
shocked there wasn't more mayhem in turn three and four. I mean,
I was gonna say, as soon as you've made that turn, and if you got a gust at the wrong time, I mean, they were already pretty swirly. But good grief, I mean, there was just nothing you could do about it. It would just take you by
dude,
surprise. I
I'm
did
telling that was
legitimately.
cold.
I was walking through the campground um, into Atlanta Motor Speedway, and I watched uh, just a grown man, probably a little bit older than us, just eat it. Just walking, had one step on the wrong piece of mud, and just absolutely ate it. He was a Joey Logano fan, though, so I mean,
Well,
karma.
he gets what he. Yeah, one could say that. Dude, it was fine between like you're walking in between the merch haulers and stuff like that, and you step out and it's gusting. But I mean, we were out there. We probably were out there for a good couple hours, and like I said, it was my wife's first time at the race. She had a blast. Aside from the fact that and you honestly saved her butt because I called you as you were getting to the track. I was like, "Where are you? Can you buy this Ford racing hoodie I saw at the merch hauler because I didn't get it earlier? And if you don't get it, I think she's going to die of hypothermia." And you were able
You
to get it, and I
you
Venmoed you
called me.
immediately like more, and I was like, "We need this thing stat."
Yeah.
And you brought it down there, and I got it to her, and you threw me that hat, and I was able to get it signed by Ross for you, so it all worked out in the end.
Yeah, you called me, and I thought originally you were like, I want this Ford Racing hoodie for me, but I didn't go get it. I was about to tell you to go get it after the race. As soon as you said that it was for your
No,
wife, I was like, okay, no, she just, I get it.
it was a dire
Brent,
situation.
Brent did not brief her properly. Did she end up wearing the earplugs, or did she completely?
She did. First lap, they came by, and she's like, "Wow, they're loud." And then after that, it was the earplugs were in. And then there was one other time, and I kind of forget. We were there last year. We walked under the tunnel as the trucks were right on top of us, and it was loud. But I was down there right on the um, little, I guess the little where the stairs combine. You go down underneath,
Yeah,
right by the
exactly.
track,
In the
and
petty
they were
grand
coming
stand.
around turn four because our seats were right at the exit of four. And they came by, and I wasn't wearing. I had the radio the over the earphones, whatever, and I had left them in our seats. And I mean, it made my brain shake inside my skull. I was like, man, I forgot how loud these jokers are. They are so loud. It was awesome.
Um, I always have a depending because try to sit as high up as possible just to see as much of the backstretch.
Yeah,
I have a policy that I will wear it for the first two stages and then I'll take it off because it's just like I can handle it, but I know for the next week I'll regret it if I listen to it for too long.
yeah.
So, um,
I just like having the radio. It's just, especially in person, because I asked McKenna, I was like, "Do you want the radio?" She's like, "No," and I was like, "I mean, I guess that's fair. She doesn't really know what's going on, like with what they're saying." And then, I mean, I'm listening to the 17 radio, just telling him where everybody is, and I was like, "You gotta hear this. Like, this is what's happening the whole time." And she's like, "Doesn't even sound like English." I'm like, "Oh, it's English," and it knows. I mean, he's like, "All right, here, wrap the bottom." The funniest one to me, though, I think I said this in the group, was it's like, "All right, you got 77 behind," and he's high. Actually, just get away from this guy. That was the 17 spotter telling him
the
to get away
old
from Hocevar in stage one.
the old TJ Majors Danica Patrick trick,
It's, I mean, same
basically,
team,
pretty much.
same spotter.
So, um, let's move on to the actual race. As fun as the in-person
Dude,
experience
I could
was,
talk about it all day.
and
Yeah,
I think we'll talk about it. I think a little bit more in our midweek episode. We'll have we both brought someone who's never been to a NASCAR race before, or a race in general before, to a NASCAR race. We're gonna have someone on to talk about it with us. Just like what's fun, what's something that could be improved on that we're kind of blind to, because we've been to so many of these at this point. So I think that would be kind of a fun segment that's unique because I don't see that anywhere else in the NASCAR landscape. Of
yeah,
just like this person who does not care about racing goes to a NASCAR race. These are their thoughts. This is what they thought coming in, and this is what they thought leaving the track. So I think that's going to be
it'd be
something
sweet.
pretty fun. But what a race to go to!
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta Motor Speedway continues to deliver, dare I say, the best racing on the entire schedule, year in, year out. Does not matter the weather. It could be in the summer at night, it could be day to night, in the freezing cold. And I mean, the stats, as much as NASCAR like inflates these stats at super speedways sometimes, it does not feel, these don't feel inflated. There were 57 lead changes in
I don't know
this
there's
race.
that many. Holy cow.
So, and it felt like at least half the field led a lap. I don't think they did statistically, but it felt like it because there were constant comers and goers. Everyone seemed to run a lap of the top 10, at least most of the major people. We'll talk about some of the cars who were just not up front at all today because I think
Yeah.
it's very interesting a few of them that just didn't have speed when some of their teammates did. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, what do you think? Should we start with Tyler Reddick, the winner here?
You always have to start with the winner.
All right. So Tyler Reddick goes back to back after I verbatim last week on this show said there has not been a repeat winner since Matt Kenseth in 2009. And I do not think Tyler Reddick in a 2311 car is going to be the one to do it. And that was the one
Wrong.
prediction. That was the one prediction about this race I actually regret because I felt really good about my wheel knowledge and I don't know. So we were both sitting on the exit to turn 4, and in the green white checkered, I see like Hocevar is leading coming to the white, and if you don't have binoculars, if you're not watching at home, it's actually really kind of hard to tell Hocevar and Reddick apart from each other because
They
it's a
look
lot of
the
blue on
exact
the
same.
it's blue on the nose and then it's white, and so you cannot tell. Same thing with like Larson, Gibbs, and Chastain this week. Like
Mm-hmm.
that was
I
the
got
happiest
Larson
I
and
was.
Chastain mixed up for the whole first stage.
As soon as Larson wrecked out and Gibbs and Barry, and I was just like, oh, I can actually follow the driver I want to follow all the way around. This is
That's why you
nice.
just cheer for a bright orange and black car. Can't mistake him for anybody else.
um, Wild Animal Safari in Pine Mountain, Georgia. Chris Enjoyer Chris Busher in the
I'm
17
just
here.
surprised he didn't pull out like his like deer rifle and kill one of them.
It wouldn't be the first time if you've been to the big Harris County, Georgia. Um, Shout out Hamilton and Fortson and them. Um, but I don't know. Like going down the backstretch, we know that Reddick is without a fender. He's not been in the lead since he's torn off the fender. And I see one of those blue cars separate down the back straightaway with a little bit of help. And I was like, okay, that must be Hocevar because he has a full front end. No, it was not. It was Reddick, who then proceeded to run away by about 3 to 4 car lengths out of turn 4 away from Briscoe. That was an absolute rocket ship all day long, but especially once the fender was off. He went, I shared something in the group this morning from his in-car cam where he just had a continuous run for about 3 laps where he just never lost the momentum. And he gained 30 spots or something like that in 3 to 4 laps.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to say. 2311 has made a huge improvement. I thought they'd be good. I was on the record earlier this season, before the season started, of like 2311 is going to take a step forward, I think. I think they have the right personnel in place, at least in 2 of those cars, to take a step, and especially without the distractions off the track for both Bubba and Tyler, not to mention the lawsuit. I think they're going to be better. I did not expect them to be 1-2 in points leaving Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. I think the least I can say is I think they made some major strides on their super speedway packages. How this will translate to the rest, we'll see. I think I think the two, at least the 23 and the 45, obviously, are two extremely talented guys. So I think it will translate. But man, a 40-point lead in the first year back with the chase. I mean, what a cushion to have coming out of 2 super speedways. I mean, that's not a guy that's going to be, probably running in the mid-teens and stuff like that come the time we hit, the middle of the season. Like, he's going to be a contender every week. Like, that's going to be that's already a tough number to run down, and we're 2 races in. And I saw some stat where I don't think he's qualified or finished outside of the top 5 at Coda in the next gen. Reddick.
Coda might be his best track, which is saying
Which is
something.
Terrifying for
There
everybody else.
Reddick has never won on the same track twice either.
That might change this year.
I mean, we have to come back to Atlanta and Daytona.
Yeah.
We go to Talladega. He's won there. I don't know with this super speedway package what I mean. Those are clearly the 2 best cars in the field right now, in the draft at least. Like, they're so good. They don't even, like we said, we don't even need all 4 fenders. I felt for Bubba Wallace. Speaking
I did
of,
too.
I mean, because
just a bad block.
For a bad block coming in, basically coming to the white, or no,
Yeah.
Sorry, Max.
It was
So hard.
on the
So
after we
happened.
had taken the white. Yeah.
Yeah, after we took the white. But he dominated stage 3 of this race.
Dude, he managed the race better than anybody all
else
day. If anybody deserved that win, I say Reddick drove from the back to the front more times than I can count. I think I sent something middle of stage 2, and I was like, much to the dismay of one of our constituents, that the 45 did indeed have a rocket booster strapped to it. I was like, we just talked about this before we got on here. We joke all the time about how fast the 12 was last year at Atlanta in February. The 45 probably could have beat it in reverse. It was the fastest car I've ever seen. It was unbelievable.
I was going to say, I actually felt the 23 was faster than the 45. I just thought that he
just stayed up front too.
He stayed up front, and you never want to be leading the last lap or the second to last lap at a super speedway. Yeah. I just thought, I mean, he got over ambitious. I mean, there's nothing else you can say. It was on Bubba. He didn't get screwed or wrecked or anything. I mean, he just threw a bad block. He didn't end up wrecking, so that's nice. he did get slowed down again. He could have plowed through. Who was it? Who did he have the right to run over in this one? It was. I'm trying to pull up the. We have like so many tabs open for this race. I
That's
believe it
I
was
tell you
the.
who. White. Go ahead.
I believe it was the 7 who just
Hmm.
like coming in the middle of turn or like turn one. He has to check up because he's getting another run, and then just from the bottom drifts up to the top, right in front of Bubba. And he did a really good job again of not wrecking the field because he could have done it last week with Byron, and I think he could have turned the 7. It may not be the 7. I need to rewatch the clip because
Yeah, I'm trying to
I
think
watched.
who that was, and I can't think of it.
I was gonna say because I can picture it in my head, but I cannot see the number. So much happened yesterday in this race. This was such an eventful race, and especially watching it from the stands and not like being able to take detailed notes while watching the race. Like you can watch the highlight packages, but it's not the same thing as just sitting down and
Yeah.
watching the whole race. I was so impressed with both the 2311 cars, or two of the 2311 cars, because Riley Herbst continues to exist, and he went for a ride in this one. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this is. I don't know if this speed translates everywhere else because I was watching Eric Estep's video last night of he said Matt Kenseth won back to back in 2009. I think it was Daytona and might have been Fontana Auto Club. I can't remember the second race that year, but he went on and did not make the chase. I don't see that happening with Tyler Reddick,
I don't either.
but we have to remember it is only two races in, and it's two races of the same kind of fluky nature. I do think
Yeah.
that these races this year were way less fluky because if you notice, I mean, these are kind of the guys I expect to be up front at the super speedway. Um, though it does create really funny positions, like Daniel Suarez is 7th in points. Um,
We'll see how
so
long that lasts.
yeah, I mean he's a good road racer. Who knows? Um, I want to talk about. Okay, so which can I say the T word on YouTube without getting like shadow banned? I
I
think I
don't even know
can.
which word to respond. What you're trying to even get at here.
Which terrorist should we talk about first? Because I think that's the natural direction to go in this show.
In terms of who committed the worst atrocity on the racetrack.
I mean, I have my clear cut answer, and it happened right in front of us.
mine
So
was mine was clearly the 5.
I was gonna say, what
What
in
was he thinking?
I listened back to the radio because I was like, maybe the spotter just didn't tell him. No,
No, that was just the
he
boneheaded. I mean, just
he
so stupid.
he saw all the comments from all the European F1 fans who said he can only turn left, and he said, "Yeah, I can. Watch this," and turned left harder
Yeah,
into
right
my
into the
goat.
best right-handed turner on the
Yeah,
circuit.
I mean, good lord! I will say this: I am so glad it did not take out SVG because he was
Mm-hmm.
having that was legit speed out of SVG because he drove through the pack to get up to the top 10. He was going to be like 4th or 5th in stage 2, settled for 10th because he at least went across the grass fast enough to finish 10th in the stage.
Yeah,
And he was able to scrap it, spun it out of his own accord. No one got into him the second time. And then still finished 6th when he came back through the field. So,
dude. I said it earlier. I'm scared of that man. I'm legit
um,
scared. That was terrifying to see how well he ran. I was like, oh my
well,
gosh. I kept looking at it and seeing the Red Bull. I'm like, man, Zillich is just cruising. And I'm like, that is not Zillich. That is SVG.
talking about Zillich, I mean, Zillich is currently, of all the full time drivers, last in points. That does not reflect how he's ran the last 2 weeks.
No,
He
he
got wrecked
was,
out. He got
yeah.
wrecked out of the lead in Daytona, and then he was. I think all the Trackhouse cars were really, really fast in traffic, but they didn't have Chase Briscoe said something in his interview last night of, I thought my car handled really well. I did not think it was very fast. And I think that might be kind of how I saw the Trackhouse drivers, especially Ross Chastain, of he kept returning to like second, third, but could
Yeah.
never take the lead. He just did not have the speed
Yeah.
to overtake the leader. And it's kind of like that's kind of how Zilich felt. That's kind of how SVG felt in this race. So, but I mean, top Ross finished third and SVJ finished sixth. I think I don't know where Zilich would have finished because he was mid pack when he got wrecked out of this.
He'd have been
Um,
top 15 at the
but I think he
worst.
was probably top 15, top 20 at the bare
Yeah.
minimum. So
He
I
was
think if
running
you're,
real well. Yeah.
and I mean, if you're Connor, I mean, granted, he got wrecked out of this by his former teammate last year, but we get to head to Coda, and statistically, it is the worst track or the worst road course for SVG. So I have some thoughts on that later on, but I don't. But that's not for this episode.
Yeah. Save
So,
that for the preview.
but Trackhouse, I mean, are they the second most impressive team in the garage right now? I mean, I don't think they're as fast as the Hendrick cars. Outside, or sorry, let me say this. If I was power ranking the teams, and this is a segment we may do later on after we have a little bit more results, like 2311 is clearly the best team right now after two
Yeah.
races. Who's second? Because
I would
Hendrick,
probably give the nod to. That's tough.
because that's the thing of like, this is a stat that I did I save it or did I have it early? Yes, it's right here. These are the teams with multiple top tens so far in 20 through two races this year in 2026. 2311 has five. So Bubba, all three of them were in the top 10 last weekend, and then Bubba and Tyler this weekend. RFK
They
Racing,
probably could have got a fourth
if Heim didn't.
if Heim wouldn't have wrecked out because he was fast. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
RFK has three. So two last week, one this week.
All by
Front
the three different guys.
front row, if we want to talk about someone who is having an incredible start to the season, Zane Smith, who, I
Running
mean,
well.
pound for pound might be the best plate racer in the garage. I mean, because I don't know how fast that front row equipment is. Gregson was up front for a little bit in this race before he wrecked out, and then, or like was like 3 rows back kind of consistently, and then he wrecked out. Gilliland got off the trailer slow.
Yeah.
So Spire has two top tens. To be noted, though, McDowell and Hocevar both were going to get a top 10 finish last week, wrecked out in
Yep.
that final wreck. So that's Suarez and Hocevar. Trackhouse has two. SVG and Chastain this week. Penske has two, and I believe they are Ryan Blaney this week and Joey Logano last week. Hendrick only has one top 10 so far on the season, and it's Chase Elliott last weekend.
What did Chase finish this week?
11th.
I was about to say he was right there.
So, one, no Joe Gibbs Racing, a disaster start to the season for them.
Big time.
Which we talked about it with Denny Hamlin when we were doing our preview. It really did feel like these two races, Daytona and Atlanta, were very important for him because we go to Coda next week and the way that the point system is now. Because, I mean, if you wreck out, you lose out on way more points proportionally than you used to in the old chase system. And now, I mean, let's just take a look at points because
While you're looking at that, I tell you who I really feel for, and this kind of harkens back to an incident towards the end of the race, is Christopher Bell. I mean, he got 77 if I've ever seen it before in my life. And
Okay, we'll talk about that, and then we can move on to JGR's woes. But
because he was right there. I mean, he put himself in great position towards the end of the race. He was there, which he just tends to do at Atlanta. But
I got flashbacks to the race, the February race last year.
I did too. I was like, holy
He
crap,
kind of
there he
came
is.
out of nowhere, and then Hocevar was not going to let him beat him twice here, is what it felt like.
It felt like a little Chris Gabehart shot, if you
I
ask
knew that
me.
was going to happen. I brought it up
You did
on
call it.
Thursday
You
last week.
did.
Hocevar is going to get one of them, and we're going to have to deal with it later in the week. Of Hocevar is just going to be like, yeah, that was for my guy, Chris.
Like, okay.
But I don't know. Hocevar is bad fast again. He makes a bad decision towards the end of this race. I don't blame him necessarily. There was a gap when he went for it, when he had the run. There was not a gap there when he got there.
It was
So
extremely. I would
I
just
think it was
say
ill-advised.
extremely,
But
extremely, extremely low percentage. Not worth. If you're going to get another run, don't take that one.
the problem is, though, the aggression from Carson. I do not want what happened to Ross Chastain when Rick Hendrick drug him aside and said, "You've got to stop this," to happen to Carson Hocevar. And maybe it already has, and maybe he just doesn't want to listen.
He's probably already had that
But
conversation, and I just don't think it's happening because I think Jeff Dickerson told him to say, "Forget what he said. You race for me."
but the aggression is what makes Carson Hocevar so good. I mean, he was 2 laps down in stage 1 because his window net blew out. Like, what? I mean,
Yeah,
Carson
so
Hocevar
random.
continues to have terrible luck, which part of that is his own fault. But and someone say that's karma. But I mean, he battled back. He was back on the lead lap um, by the middle of stage 2 when we started wrecking, and then he just, I mean, he rode in the back most of stage 3 and most of stage 2. I mean, he did collect stage points in stage 2, but like I kept looking up, and it was like Hocevar is like in the very tail end of the lead pack. He's just
Yeah,
drafting, staying there. When he wanted to move forward, suddenly I looked up and the 77 was 7th or 8th. And I was just
yeah.
like, where in the world did he come from?
Just out of
Because
nowhere.
and that's what makes Atlanta so special is you can
Yeah,
actually, I mean, go up and down the pack
yeah.
and not that much time.
No, clearly, as Reddick showed. But I think I don't. Have you listened to Action's Detrimental yet?
Not yet. I try not to watch or listen to anything before recording just so I can keep my own opinions.
Okay, whatever. I had an hour and a half drive up here, so I listened to. Well, I listened to that a little bit earlier, and then listened to caught the end of it as we were heading up here. Um, and I think Denny makes a great point. I think everyone's kind of just tired of the bit with him, and I think he's going to put himself in a position to win a race this year. And I think they're just going to. I think someone's going to decide that it's not his time yet, and they're going to make sure that he doesn't. And I hate that
Probably
for him because I think he's very talented. But the way that his willingness to give no one any breaks is going to come back to bite him, and it's probably going to cost him a one and maybe more wins this year because it's not just one guy that he has to kind of watch his
it's
back
half the
around now.
garage. I
It's
mean,
everybody. Everybody wants. I mean, I told you I was cracking up halfway through stage 1. The 17 spotter is like, get away from this guy. Like it's the middle of stage 1. We're supposed to be testing out this rear tire compound, and he's putting it 4 wide. I'm like, this he's a maniac. I love it, but it's like I love it when it's not around my guy.
um, it also brings up a point. Um, Dale Jr. on the Dale Jr. Dale Notes after last season or towards the end of last season interviewed Carson, and he asked him, "Who is your friend in the garage? Who's your best friend?" And Carson said, "I don't like any of them. I'm not friends with any of them. I think one time I went to SVG's house and had a beer, and that was it. And I've not been back, and whatever. It was me, Bubba, and SVG, which that's a fun room.
That's a crew.
But that would be like if you could have 3 drivers on the podcast and you can't choose like your primary, that might be the 3.
That'd be a pretty sweet little rotation.
Um, but he's just like, no, I'm not friends with any of them. I don't
Which
care to
is
be.
weird.
I have friends from outside the track. It's the guys I play video games with. And I don't want to be friends with them. And it's not just the Cup Series, it's Trucks and O'Reilly. Like, and you got to feel like part of what made Dale Earnhardt so great is at the end of the day, and you hear like constant stories of this, is he would wreck you. And he made no qualms about it. I wrecked you on purpose. I did it, and that's why you earned the nickname the Intimidator. And it worked for him. People would get out of his way because they were scared of getting wrecked, of putting themselves in a position that they were vulnerable to Dale. And there's been a lot of conversation lately about how Carson Hocevar reminds people of a very young Dale Earnhardt. I think the biggest difference is they race very similarly. And right now, Carson has not won. It's coming. The speed is there. It's just a matter of time. But he does not play the games that Dale did that bought him breaks. Like, he's not friends with these guys. He's not, cultivating an on-track rivalry with a Jeff Gordon and behind the scenes being like, we're going to fake hate. I like you, but I'm going to pretend to hate you because we'll make more money that way. That's not happening. He doesn't have that political tact yet, for a lack of a better word. And I'm kind of with you. Someone is going to teach him a lesson this year, and it's going to be in the car because no one's going to jump him on pit road.
They're not.
Because, I did see a clip from Door Bumper Clear of Christopher Bell would have had to get a step stool or a trampoline to try to punch him in the face. So if someone has a step stool on pit road, you know what it's for. I will actually say though.
Just to kind of make a statement based off of what you just said too, just real quick, just if I could like make an anecdote. I think that he's already been wrecked before at the end of last year, but it didn't matter. I think this year to the whole he's gonna find out, he's gonna get taught a lesson. I think it's gonna come at a time where he's gonna be it's an extremely valuable position he's in, rather than just like he's running 28th and people just wreck him because they're mad and it's the end of the year.
Well, the difference is this year is I think Hocevar, even without winning your in, winning your in, he was always a threat. But even now, without it, I think he's going to be chasing top 10 in points the way he's run at least the first 2 weeks. And, I think he's going to be competitive everywhere but the road courses, especially if Spire has improved as much as we think they have.
Thanks for the setups, Joe.
Exactly. But, what's to say someone doesn't? We come down to Martinsville, and he is still in contention for the championship, or Phoenix, a la Jeff Gordon, Clint Boyer, and Kyle Busch just says, you know what?
I don't think so.
Not this year. And just absolutely just cleans him out. Also, would a Carson Hocevar Kyle Busch fight be like the actual most heavyweight NASCAR Cup Series fight possible?
Probably.
Ever?
Kyle Busch kind of likes him right now after the truck race.
I don't know who Kyle Busch likes week to week. It feels like we can talk about this, and we can go and move on to Kyle if you want to a little bit. He wrecked out of this race, killed it, was very mad over the radio. This has been one of his best tracks. He was the best current Cup Series guy at New Atlanta. He had an average finish of 5th, I believe, and just was not fast at all. Had no speed. And wrecks out in the middle of stage 2, down the back straight, hits the inside wall, he's done. And I mean,
That's
hey,
that.
that's that. It feels like, though, Kyle Busch has always been this way. And he's settled down a little bit in his old age. But you can kind of tell it's like in Spider-Man when Norman is starting to hear the voices. And you can kind of tell it with Kyle. Like the Goblin Mask is speaking to him. I don't know if it's the Cheddar's croissant, if it's an M&M's thing he's got, but it feels like if this continues for much longer, I think we may see a version of Kyle Busch we have not seen in a long time, maybe ever, of just I'm over this and I'm mad at everybody. So I don't know. Maybe that's wishful thinking. I just want Kyle Busch to be relevant again. Like, love him or hate him, Kyle Busch is fantastic for the sport when he's running well. So, and it just is sad to see someone that, you could always, like I said, the first race I ever went to at Atlanta was the, at the time, nationwide series race, first night race at Atlanta, and Kyle Busch won. And I was mad. And just thinking back to that, like, I don't really I want him to be good again. And I don't know if RCR can do that. So,
Doesn't appear that they can.
um, so we were going to move before Hocevar. We were talking about Joe Gibbs Racing and Hendrick. Joe Gibbs Racing had a nightmare start to the season. So just looking at points, Chase Briscoe is in 15th. And he had a little bit of speed, it felt like, but that kind of came along in stage 3. It didn't feel like any of the JGR cars were really much of a factor until the end, or like middle end of this race, like middle of stage 3. And it's just, I don't know, which part of that is because they were all in the back because they all wrecked out last week. But we saw cars, I mean, SVG, we saw Hocevar. You could go from the back to the front in a matter of a dozen laps here. So I didn't think that was as big of a deal as people were making it. But if these were not drafting tracks, I think you have to be panicked for Joe Gibbs Racing. And for someone like Denny Hamlin, I kind of already am. Because these should statistically be 2 of his better tracks. We go to Coda next week, and I mean, he's not going to race well there. He's just not. And if he's leaving Coda with a gap to the line of currently he's 93 back of the bubble, of the cutoff, he's going to leave probably 100 points back after 3 races. And after the offseason he had, is it too early to start to hit the panic button on Denny Hamlin?
I think so. I think it's a little early. I think they had some speed, just because my eyes were obviously glued to the 17 for most of that race. He spent a lot of time around the 11 towards the rear, and pretty much what I was hearing on the radio is he was like, all right, basically spotters telling him everybody behind is back here with us, just riding, trying to save. Like, you're good. Like, don't worry about anything. So it sounded like they were trying to save a lot. And then I was getting frustrated because then Denny would take off and he could drive to the front. And the 17 just would take some runs and not be able to maintain position, just battle in a car that was too tight, but that's neither here nor there. And Denny was able to get to the front with no problem. I didn't see a ton out of Briscoe. I saw a little bit out of Bell there towards the end, and I saw Ty Gibbs on fire, and I smiled. And that's all I'll say about that. But I think they had.
Briscoe,
and then then he makes his way to the front of the end.
Well, I looked at this too because I didn't realize it. He led 27 laps yesterday.
Briscoe?
It did not feel like that, did it? I mean, I get that he was
I can't
in,
even remember a time he led a lap.
like,
That's how
you told me
insignificant it
he led
was.
like 5 or 6. Like, yeah, maybe, but it did not feel like it.
I
I
can't
get
even
that
remember
he
that. Was it stage
um,
2?
probably like during the weird. I mean, he was up there with Bubba for a little bit, pushing Bubba, but it really felt like Bubba really led all these laps. And to be fair, I mean, this was not a Toyota like dominant race. I thought like all three manufacturers had their chance in the sun to lead and kind of, manage the field. The Toyotas just did
Yeah.
it best. But I mean, let me put it like this. They have had and Joe Gibbs Racing has had 8 entries for Daytona and Atlanta. Both of these tracks are drafting tracks. They wreck a lot. They're fluky. 7 of those 8 entries have wrecked. That
Just
is
bad luck. Such bad
part of
luck.
it's bad luck, unless let's talk about him, Ty Gibbs, who
Well,
just
that.
cleared himself against Barry. And I mean,
Barry looked fast.
Barry looked fast, looked like he was just going to drift to the back for a little bit and save fuel right around, because he's like, okay, I saw what I needed to see. We're fine. And no, Gibbs is going to wreck you, take a hard hit into the outside safer barrier in the process, and then just park right in front of us on fire.
Yeah.
So, which my cousin did tap me on the shoulder and said, they can catch on fire? And I was like, yeah, I mean, buddy, it's gasoline. Like, and then we had a discussion about Juan Pablo Montoya. So,
Unnecessary conversation to have.
have you talked with your children about Juan Pablo Montoya?
Need
But
to keep your children at least 6 feet away from jet dryers when wearing a 42, the number 42.
I don't know. I mean, I think Bell's going to be fine. Hamlin was fast at Daytona. He led some laps at Atlanta, but once again, he led 1 lap at Atlanta. So I just don't feel. It just really does not feel like he was ever a factor. Also, kind of crazy. He wrecked in the same wreck that took out Tyler Reddick. Denny did finish 11th or 13th in this race.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he just had a really quiet day. And Daytona is what's bringing him down, but it didn't feel like he got any stage points at all. And I'm just used to Denny running up front at Atlanta. So
Yeah.
the good news about the system is if you win enough, it doesn't really matter. You can afford these breaks because a win is just worth so many points.
Yeah.
But do you want to talk about Hendrick? Because my goodness, guys. There was a point in this race where it was 1, 2, 3 with the 5, the 9, and the 24. And then in 19th was the 48.
Familiar sight.
That Ally car was beautiful, and I never saw it.
It
Actually,
started in 30th. It ran in 30th, and it was never even an inkling of a thought in my mind to be like, I keep kneeing this table. I'm sorry. And I was like, I never once thought, wow, look at Alex up front. Haven't seen that because we never saw it.
He finished 23rd.
Yeah.
He gets 14 points out of running at Atlanta. He rode around. All 3 of his teammates, Elliott started up front, but the other, Larson, had to start in the back. And he was immediately, like midway through stage 1, he was slicing and dicing for the lead. Byron, it took him a minute to get up there, even though he was closer to the front. Once he got up there, slicing, dicing, speed, had it. Elliott, I mean, it was annoying because everyone stands when Chase Elliott takes the lead, and you can't see. But, I mean, he led several laps of this. He was very fast, very competitive. it's 2 races in, but Alex Bowman is, I don't know if he's a panic alarm guy yet, but it's worrying to say the least. Of just like,
Yeah.
this is 2 weeks in a row where he has unpacked noticeably slower than his Hendrick teammates. So,
I don't know if I'm that surprised, but I guess I'd be interested to see how it plays out on the standard intermediates.
yeah, that's the thing. We can speculate. We've only had 2 drafting tracks.
Yeah.
Um,
But it's so
I want
fun
to talk
to
about
overreact.
SVG. I want to talk about SVG
I don't
though.
want to talk about SVG. I'm still scared of that guy.
If you do not like SVG for whatever reason, I don't understand. I
If
get
you're a
why people
bad
don't like him.
person, you don't like SVG.
Exactly. Like,
Jonathan.
yeah. So I do not like SVG is such like a cool dude. He's awesome.
Yeah.
If there was a collective moment yesterday where it felt like the entire Cup Series said, "Uh-oh." um, so because he could have won this thing if the runs play out a little bit differently. He put himself in position to not just like have a good finish. He put himself in position to win this race. At the thing, if there was another lap, he might have come out winning this thing.
It's
So,
about 2 or 3 to go. After he had wrecked like 2 times, I look down, I see the Navy 97 on the inside line. I'm like, where did this guy come from again? And I think I said it earlier. I was like, man, look at Zillage. Not Zillage. That was SVG. And I guess I'm just not used to seeing him, you know, on any oval towards the front unless it's, he just, some folks are riding around at
unless
Daytona
he's a few
Talladega and he
lap,
goes to the front.
unless he's like a lap down and he's like
Yeah.
getting passed by the leaders. Um,
But I was like, I legitimately out loud between my frozen lips muttered, "Oh dear, that's SVG. He's in." I was like, he's in 1, 2, 3, fifth place. Uh-oh.
and I did think his car had the same problem, like I said, that Chastain's did, of just could not lead to save its life. He did lead a lap though, under caution. That was a caution lap, led because he stayed out in the. He had that weird pit strategy that Brad K was using, of
I
just we're
don't
going to stay
understand
out
that.
a lap after everyone else pits, and then we're going to pit. I guess it's a 1 extra lap for fuel saving, but
You
that just felt
also,
so weird.
if you, my other thought is maybe you just don't want to get caught in the crap of pit road.
Maybe.
If you know you're gonna have to take a longer pit stop because you've been running longer, my only thought is maybe you just say, "Well, wait till everybody's cleared off. We'll be able to do our thing. Take our time."
Yeah. I don't know. It's such a Atlanta is not a track position race. It's probably actually like the least track position race on the entire schedule.
But
But
yet, I mean, no one. But yet, most people didn't fuel save because like it's not a track position race in terms of that way. But like, there's nothing more important at Atlanta.
well, I
Like
mean,
I feel like
duh. I mean, obviously you want to be
you
at the
need to
front,
be,
but
yeah.
um,
But you're not, like you said, you're not like saving fuel
yeah, like
for the most part.
obviously you still have to execute on pit road and your strategy matters, but it's not like you're like I'm gonna flip the stage in Atlanta
Yeah,
because I'm gonna be out front, and even though I've been running 30th all day, there was a little bit of that towards the end of it because Brad and all 3 RFK cars, we have not talked about them, stayed out with about 30 to
not
go,
much to talk about.
and they just sunk like rocks. Like Priest managed to get a top 10,
Yeah, I think he's
but
finished seventh or
um,
eighth,
ninth.
ninth.
And then, but like Busher, 15th. Brad, 17th. Brad started at the front. He mixed it up in stage one. Once he got back in the pack, he did not have the car to drive through it
Yeah,
at all. Um, so it just felt like RFK didn't bring anything good, which is a little bit disappointing because I felt I was disappointed with both the Ford teams of note, of Penske and um, RFK again.
yeah. I
Just
was, yeah, no, I was, how do I say this? I guess I was upset. No, I was not upset. I was a little disappointed, but I can't say I was that surprised with the 17's performance. Brad, I was a little bit surprised because I mean historically he's run really well at Atlanta. Um, it's Atlanta is not a good. It has not treated 17 well, other than last summer when he dodged the wreck when half the field wrecked, literally 20 something cars wrecked. But other than that, it really has not treated him too well. So maybe I was just kind of wishful thinking. I was hoping he'd run well. Just didn't really pan out. The 60 was fine, but I was definitely disappointed in Brad. But I was not as disappointed in Brad as I think you were alluding to. The entire Penske organization. What happened?
I mean, there was a point in stage one because it was Brad K at the front with Joey Logano pushing him, and then you had Reddick and Bubba together, and then the Hendrick cars kind of come up, and that's what stage one mostly is. It's those 8 cars battling it out. Brad drops back at some point in stage one, and but during that, you see Barry, Blaney, and Cindric with Logano in the picture all together there. Or excuse me, it was Logano, Barry, Cindric hooked up. Blaney was a row back. And I was like, oh, shoot. Okay, here we go again.
Here we
Because I
go.
saw this for a majority of the race last year where someone finally just had to wreck Cindric to just beat him because he was so good at managing the pack. And they got out there, they led a few laps. Cindric ends up leading, I think, like 20 something laps here. But he he leads 21 laps. He just was not good. Like, none of them had the breakaway speed we're used to seeing at Atlanta from them. And they could not control the pack. They were very prone to getting broken up and just there was that dive bomb going into turn one that everyone was throwing, like coming out of the tri-oval, go from the top lane all the way down to the bottom lane to pass somebody. And every time it felt like one of them got out front, it was just like, okay, here comes Tyler Reddick. Here comes Bubba Wallace. And they drove right by, typically by themselves or with one car pushing.
Yeah.
And I mean, Logano wrecked in this race. Blaney, I mean, respectably, Blaney comes home 10th. He did not run 10th most of this day. That's very deceiving. I mean, if you told me before the race that Blaney's finishing 10th, I was like, oh, did something like happen to him? I mean, he was irrelevant for most of this one. He led 6 laps, which is half of what Chase Elliott did. And then, I mean, you could realistically say Front Row Motorsports was the consistently the fastest Ford team. I mean, Zane Smith finished 7th. Noah Gragson finished 14th, and that wasn't fluky. He got caught up in an incident and got back in there. He was running up front when he got the nose bent in the car. So, and then Todd Gilliland, though. 25th. He was the highest of the DNF cars. So
you take what you can get, I guess.
I just don't know. I'm concerned about Penske. Last week I told you, no, let's get to Atlanta. We're fine. Daytona, I mean, they just couldn't get together. Something is up because those were the dominant cars on drafting style tracks for really the last 3 years. And if you're a fan of, especially Austin Cindric, you have to be incredibly concerned because, I mean, you only got 3 of these left now, and you did not take advantage of the first 2 at all. You were actually quite bad. And I don't know. So Logano has been the fastest of the Penskes so far. I mean, he's top 10 in points. He got wrecked in this one.
Yeah.
Off the bumper of Carson Hocevar, though, I don't think that one was Carson's fault. It looked like Logano just checked himself and he was not clear. So everyone's going to blame Hocevar because it's Hocevar. But I don't know. I am disappointed that Atlanta's over already. We get one more of these in the summer. But it was a phenomenal race.
It was so fun.
Couldn't ask for anything but maybe slightly better weather. But
That's all I would ask for as well.
in the summer that breeze would feel so nice.
Oh yeah.
Um, so you can't win. But is there anyone you want to talk about that we didn't touch on at all?
Uh, Let me kind of go through in my head. Not really. I mean, we kind of touched on everybody that really did much of anything. I'm trying to think.
So I'm looking through real quick just to make sure. Um,
Yeah.
wait a minute. Michael McDowell got a top 20?
Yeah. He was kind of around.
Well, no, he was one of the cars that it was consistently lost the pack. Like he and
I,
Eric Jones were riding around half a lap behind everybody else.
at the end though, he was just kind of like once everybody got back, like bunched up back together, like he was just kind of there, just kind of he was just trying to finish.
Well, to be fair, I mean, only 24 cars finished this race.
Yeah.
So,
There you go.
up those 24 cars, Alex Bowman was 23rd.
Well,
Down there with Cole Custer and Eric Jones, who was not fast at all.
nope, no speed.
Christopher Bell, I felt bad for him. Like I said, he was
Yeah, I felt terrible for him.
got just body slammed in overtime. Ty Dillon, 16th for Colic. Oh, and then I did want to talk about this. We called it. AJ Allmendinger almost had it
Yes.
consistently all day, riding around somewhere from 12th to 6th.
Yep. He was just there. All you see this bright neon green and black Grizzly car. I'm like, I know who that is. Yeah, he was just kind of like you said. He was just kind of around up there towards the top 15.
Just
Um,
kept his
just
nose
kind of
clean,
there. Yeah.
ran fast. Good result for AJ Allmendinger, who I believe. No, he is only. Oh, okay. I did mispronounce the. So earlier I said that Denny Hamlin had a 93-point gap to the cut line. That is not true. He has a 93 gap to Tyler Reddick.
I was about to say that is an absurd stat line already, considering Reddick's at 125. I don't know how that was possible.
Um, comparatively, so he is actually to the cut line. The cut line currently is SVG. Him and Briscoe are tied, but Briscoe has the tiebreaker with the highest finish on the season. Denny Hamlin is 13 back. So yeah, no, he's fine. He can recover from that. That's one stage
Yeah.
win. So
Yeah.
alrighty. You need to get some sleep. I know you've had a long day.
Oh yeah, it's been one of those.
So, and we'll have our midweek episode that is more structured than this when it's not being filmed at approximately 1:30 in the morning. And yeah, so looking forward to Coda next week. I love the drafting tracks. I want to see how these cars run somewhere else. I'm desperate for more information. And if you enjoyed this, I mean, I'm going to be streaming Coda this Sunday. So if anyone wants to come in and hop on and hang out,
Check it out.
um,
Check it
I'll
out.
be there because I cannot be worse than Carson Hocevar mogging the rest of his um, Spire teammates. Thank you, Kevin Harvick.
You can't do
So
worse than Fox.
at the end of the day, I'm not going to compete with Prime. I'm not going to compete with NBC, but I know at the end of the day, at least I can compete with Fox. So
Hey, you're gonna dial them up. It's instead of Boyer and the boys, it's Cade and the crew.
hey, come hang out. Come make the
There you
drive
go.
down. I will, but for now, I'm Caden Sturgis. That's Grant Pulley, and we are the Tribal Office. So leave your thoughts down below and leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video and want to see more NASCAR and other sports content. I got something else cooking on my YouTube channel here that Grant does not know about because it does
Uh
not
oh.
involve him. But now he's perked up, and I gotta tell him what it is. But I will see you next time. And peace out and good night.